the Todd Family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. I know it's NFL Sunday afternoon, but I apologize for not doing a video earlier today. But after covering high school football Friday night and having a wrestling show last night, I got home and I think this morning about 12:30. I fell asleep and I had to be at church at 7:30 this morning, so I have not yet did a video for this Sunday. So I wanted to do one now live here on this Sunday afternoon. If you're watching football, that's fine. You can listen to me and have football on in the background. But today, I want to mainly talk some college football. If you missed SWA last night, you missed another great show. It was our final SWA show before Fightmare, which comes up on October the 12th. Going to have another big night that night. But today, let's talk some college football. And as I said earlier in the week, on paper, it didn't look like it was going to be a very good weekend as far as the games go. And if you're watching live, feel free to comment. Feel free to like the video. Give the video a thumbs up. And when I am done, share the video on all social media platforms. But I will read your comment as I go if you leave any comments. But as always, you look on paper and the games don't look that impressive. And there's some games that you think won't be close but are. We'll go back to Thursday night first. The Thursday night game was two evenly matched teams. But if you looked on paper and saw the two teams, you would say, I don't want to watch that game. Hey, Jimmy, thanks for watching in, brother. We're just going to talk some college football today. But Arizona State wins that game at 31-28. Since there's, for right now anyway, no more Pac-12, Arizona State's just playing some random teams. And Texas State's actually a really good team. It's just since they play in one of those smaller group of five conferences that nobody talks about them. But they're actually a good team. Arizona State comes out with a 31-28 win. And then South Alabama defeated Northwest State 87-10. And the only reason I bring that game up is because South Alabama had 365 rushing yards and almost 300 passing yards. But this day and time with football turning into a passing league, you don't really see many games where a team has 365 rushing yards. And I think they had about 250 in the first half, but they were up big at halftime, so they didn't do much in the second half. And then the game that looked like it was going to be close on paper but wasn't was the Friday night game where Kansas State was all over Arizona by the score of 31-7. And then UNLV beat Kansas 23-20. So luckily for Kansas, their back-to-back losses have both been non-conference because a lot of people had them picked to win the Big 12, but they're off to a two-loss start, but that's two non-conference games. They'll start Big 12 play with their next game. Alabama all over Wisconsin at 42-10. I knew Bama would win the game, but I thought Wisconsin might hang with them. But, Wisconsin has been an I-formation pro-style team for 150 years, and Luke Fickell is slowly trying to turn them into a spread team, and it's taking some time. Right now, they just don't have the offensive weapons to run the kind of offense that he wants to run. And then we had Memphis defeating Florida State 20-12. I think Florida State's in for a long season. They look lost on offense, and their defense is just slow. Oklahoma State all over Tulsa 45-10. And then I mentioned this the other day, but in case you missed that video, South Carolina's athletic director, Ray Tanner, stepped down on Friday. A lot of people think it's health-related, which it might be, but he took another job still with the university. It's hard for me to believe that your health is so bad. You can't AD, but you can be right up under the school president. I think either South Carolina's fixing to get in some kind of trouble, and he's trying to step away, so he won't be involved in it, or he thinks they're in for a long football season, and he'll have to fire Shane Beamer, and he don't want to do that, so he just went ahead and stepped down. LSU defeated South Carolina 36-33. That was probably the best game of the day yesterday, especially the noon game, but probably all day as far as action packed. There were some other games that had close scores like that. They just didn't have near the action that LSU and South Carolina had. Missouri, in a close game, defeats Boston College 27-21. Oregon, all over their arch rival, Oregon State, 49-14. Michigan defeats Arkansas State 28-18. NC State defeated Louisiana Tech 30-20. Now NC State had to go with their backup quarterback in about mid second quarter because the starter, Grayson McCall, had an undisclosed injury. But it may have been one of those where we're going to say he's hurt to get him off the field because we're struggling. And NC State might be better off without him because once the backup came in the game, their offense looked a lot smoother. But Grayson McCall is one of those that he has the ability to be the human operation game. If you touched any part of his body from his tippy toes to his head, you hear him, because he's always hurt. There was also some question about his leadership skills when he was at Coastal Carolina, and it's hard not to believe that when he was so good there, but yet they didn't want him there, and he goes to NC State, and they have all that talent, and they suck, and he goes to the sidelines, and they look better. So we'll wait and see how long Grayson McCall is out. Notre Dame finally found their offense. They beat Purdue 66-7. Texas A&M beat Florida 33-20, and honestly, it was not that close. It could have been worse had A&M chose it to be worse. Florida looks absolutely clueless, and Billy Napier looks like he knows he's on the chopping block. Oklahoma defeats Tulane 34-19. Starting next week, we'll find out how good Oklahoma is. Honestly, I'm not sold on them. Iowa defeats Troy 38-21. Utah defeats Utah State. Same score, 38-21. Minnesota shuts out Nevada 27-0. Pittsburgh was down by 10 with 4 minutes to go, and they come back and beat West Virginia 38-34. Georgia in a struggle. They drove the struggle bus last night on offense and beat Kentucky 13-12. Luckily for them, Kentucky has no offense, but Carson Beck looked confused all night long, and Carson Beck needs to grow his hair out. I generally like short hair over long hair. To me, long hair on men just looks tacky, but Carson Beck has the biggest forehead in the history of mankind. You could drive an 18-wheeler truck across Carson Beck's forehead. He needs to grow his hair out bad because that is one ugly man. Nebraska defeats Northern Iowa 34-3. Ole Miss all over Wake Forest 30-6. Georgia State defeats Vanderbilt 36-32. Toledo defeats Mississippi State 41-17. Indiana defeats UCLA 42-13. Baylor all over Air Force 31-3. If you're watching along, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section. I will try to reply to your comment. Give the video a like and make sure you share the video on all social media platforms as soon as I am done. Central Florida defeated TCU 35-34. Maryland defeats Virginia 27-13. BYU defeats Wyoming 34-14. Appalachian State defeated East Carolina 21-19. California defeats San Diego State 31-10. Fresno State shuts out New Mexico State 48-0. Washington State defeated Washington 24-19. And San Jose State defeated Kennesaw State 31-10. And I think Missouri, I believe, was supposed to beat Boston College by 16 or 17 points, and Boston College ends up losing 27-21, as I said, so that game was closer than it was supposed to be. I really have no idea what the point spread was in the Kentucky-Georgia game, but I would assume, since Kentucky looked dreadful against South Carolina last week, that Georgia was picked to win by a lot. And that just goes to show why I don't bet on football, because you just never know. More than likely, even the most sunshine-pumping Kentucky fans, they might out loud say, we're going to pull off the upset. But I can guarantee you, in their heart of hearts, they were thinking, man, we're going to get killed Saturday. And it's hard not to think that when you play South Carolina and you couldn't move the ball at all. But whatever they did on defense last night, it worked. Kentucky still has no offense. Their offense is atrocious. But their defense was able to keep them in the game. But they only mustered 4 field goals on offense. So Georgia only had to find the end zone one time, which they found in the fourth quarter, and that was all they needed because Kentucky just could not find the end zone. But Kentucky's offense is pitiful. But just seeing the score in that game tells you why I don't bet, because anybody would have thought Georgia was going to destroy Kentucky, and it was a last down-to-the-wire game. Any thoughts on any of this, please feel free to let me know. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. I plan to wash the house, inflate the tires, and increase the flow on the filter system. It's going to be a pressure-filled weekend. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.